One day, there was a beast of foreign likes. I came across this beast only once, but I barely made it out with my life. I have a guest with me today. She's going to explain her story on how this happened to her.
I was walking through the cemetery,
Mhm.
and I thought that I saw the Scooby-Doo gang. And it turns out I was right. I heard a noise, and I jumped in the back of the mystery machine. Then, seconds later, Scooby-Doo jumped right next to me under the blanket of terror. It bit Shaggy's finger, and they had to rush him to the ERs to try and save his finger. And that began the wild ride from the mark of the beast.
Incredible story. Scooby Dooby Doo, where art thou?
Hi everyone. Now I have a guest with me, and he's gonna share his story.
Thank you for having me. I used to be a doctor. I worked in the hospital, obviously. I was on the night shift one time, unfortunately, when I saw something in the shadow. I saw a shadow of something maniacal. Something disturbing, to say the least. I saw. All I could hear was. Yes, it was Tom and Jerry. The lights went out, and all of a sudden I felt Jerry crawling on my body. As my final moments came, all I could hear was Tom. All I could hear was Tom rushing towards me with all of his might, with an apron, a spoon, and a fork. And that's when I realized it was all over. He was after Jerry, but Jerry was in my mouth. I am now dead today. But, it's back!
Hi all again. I have one last guest to tell his one last story. Please welcome our guest, who shall remain nameless.
Thank you. It is always a pleasure. I used to work back in the day. I am now 180 years old. Yes, I am the oldest living person on the planet. I used to work on the railroads. I was working on the railroads one day when I heard something that I will never forget. I'm clearly scarred for life. All I could see was a train coming in the distance. But it wasn't like your normal train. It was a bright blue. It had a gray face. Yes, a face. And he had the most obnoxious eyes. As it came towards me, I heard a song playing. You all know the song. Song of Terror. It was Thomas. And all of his friends were in line. He started flying. And I started dying. Mars. The last words that I ever heard were, "Shut up, cop."
Hello, everyone. Sorry about the confusion when I said that we would have just one last guest. We're having just one more last guest. And this time, it's heavily raining outside, so this story should go great with the weather. Now I'm going to introduce our guest, and he will tell you his story.
I was at school one time. One of my favorite colors was yellow. One of my favorite subjects was science. My greatest fear came true. I was walking from the library one day, and all I could see was the most cartoonish of characters. He had the most annoying voice. He asked me, "I'm looking for my friends. I'm looking for you." His name was Sid. He started chasing after me saying, "Do you want to be my friend?" I tripped and fell. I am now dead today. It was the scariest event of my life. I now live a peaceful life, but I am dead. Sid the Science Kid, beware of him, for he is a monster. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to continue the Scooby-Doo Chronicles with the very special guest. Here she is.
Thank you, host. I'm here today to tell you my part 2 of my Scooby-Doo story, the first story that we heard. When we left off with our spooky friends, Shaggy was just being rushed to the ER. And I said that was the beginning of the wild ride of the Mark of the Beast. So once they're in the emergency room, they finally get looked at, and the doctor can barely save Shaggy's finger at this point. It was hanging on by one of his nerves in the finger. So then, after a while, Shaggy gets discharged from the hospital, and then the gang is able to continue on their mysteries. However, they did invite me for another mystery to solve with them. I was basically like a stowaway, but it was fun. So, just gonna keep this short and sweet, and if you want a part 3 of the story, we can do that in our next video. So, So, the next mystery was not in a cemetery, but it was in an old abandoned bowling alley. The bowling alley, mind you, was still functional, just something or someone ran it out of business, and it scared the entire town, and no one ever came back to it again. It was one of those things that someone hired the Scooby-Doo detective agency to figure it out. We went there, and it was just a weird feelings going into it.
What was that?
That was one of the noises that we heard. And I, being a newbie, I've obviously never heard that noise, but the gang has. A time or two back in the day. They honestly didn't know what it was. They could never figure it out from one of their first mysteries. We started investigating the bowling alley, and we heard that noise that you just heard multiple times. And we were like, so is a car stuck in the wall, or what was that? And apparently, it was a car stuck in the wall. But it was a haunted car that could fly, stuck in the wall. It looked like Lightning McQueen. It was a red sports car with a face and huge eyes that were just so creepy they pierced us from inside the wall. We broke the wall down, and the car was able to get out. Little did we know at that time that he could fly. But we were in the bowling alley, so there was no room to fly, so he had to drive. His intentions were malicious, of course, and he tried to run us all over. And when he was not successful, he reversed and tried to do it again. He was able to drive out of the front door by breaking it with himself, and he almost ran over a family that was crossing the street outside. Luckily, the mom was able to grab the baby out of the stroller because the stroller was mauled over. At this time, we're frantic, trying to figure out how to stop this Lightning McQueen looking ghost. Fred, on a whim, runs to the mystery machine and pulls out a bow and arrow. Something he said he had been saving for a long time for the perfect mystery. So Fred quickly ran to the mystery machine, and he pulled out the bow and arrow, and he aimed and fired at the back driver's side tire, and he shot it bullseye. That slowed down our car ghost, but it didn't stop him. So we got in the mystery machine, and Fred gave the bow and arrow to Velma, and she was sitting outside the door like Dukes of Hazzard while we were driving down the street. And she pierced the other rear back tire. And that halted our ghost car for a long time. We were able to do a pit maneuver almost in front of him due to his back tires being out. So we got in front of his car himself. And we all rushed out of the mystery machine. And we called the police to arrest him. Then a tow truck was called and he was hauled off to jail. I'm not sure of the sentence he received.
Car jail?
Car jail. Like the Cozy Cone car jail.
Yes.
So, and that was for 10 years he had been stuck in that wall. And after that, this tragedy became a beautiful story because the bowling alley was restored and the town flourished after that. So that's my story. It's a very interesting mystery, but I'm glad we were able to solve it in a timely manner.
Absolutely incredible story. Now, for next time, we're going to be taking a different approach. We're going to be on a mystery, on the hunt, live, and you are going to see what happens and our reactions. It's going to be very interesting. You talked to the mystery gang, the Scooby-Doo gang. You talked to them.
Yes.
Where'd they say we'd be going next? Because I want to join. Because this sounds fun.
Well, they said next time that they would be going to a psychiatric hospital.
Abandoned.
Half of it is abandoned. The
Ooh.
other half is still in operations.
Functional.
Exactly.
Very interesting. We will be heading there in the next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this, because I know we did. A lot of random stories, but they are true. We'll be seeing you. Please make sure to get a view. We'll be going to a half-abandoned psychiatric hospital next episode. Hopefully we make it out.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Peace.